I'm Dr. Fred Ogola. I'm an expert in strategic analysis and predictive analysis. Today, I want to talk to you about this very big topic called how do we reopen the economy? First of all, let me disclose that when I talk about reopening the economy, I don't mean the Kenyan economy. I don't even mean the African economy. Because what is happening is that the African economy is not yet even seen the wrath of Covid-19. Because we know that the Covid-19 had its first epicenter in Asia. That is China, Japan, the other part, Korea and the rest. Then after that, it changed epicenter from Asia to Europe. You can see how Italy suffered, Spain, name it. Then the epicenter is now in the Americas, where North America, US is suffering, Canada has faced it. It is also hitting very hard South America, like Ecuador, name them. Those countries in South America are suffering. In Africa, it will become the epicenter last. In the previous video, I told you that Africa is 2 months behind being the epicenter. So it's gonna come maybe early March. So that's the time when Africa will be reaching its peak. And from there is when Africa will start debating whether they want to open the economy or not. So let's focus on how should the global economy open, because I know when our time comes as Kenya or Africa, we shall copy the trend from the West. First and foremost, what happened is that WHO has released 6 conditions under which every economy can be opened in case they have gone through this COVID-19. The first condition is transmission should be under control. The second condition is that the strength of the healthcare system should be enhanced to manage any pandemic or if there's a second wave. The third condition is that outbreak risks should be minimal. The fourth condition is preventive measures should be in place. The fifth condition should be importation risks should be under control. And the sixth condition should be communities should be well informed. But this is just responding to Trump's pressure when Trump was saying he wants to reopen the economy. These measures by the WHO are very unstrategic. I'm sorry to say that. In fact, they do not have science behind them. I would call reacting to Trump because of what? WHO is an NGO being funded by the US, being funded by the UK, being funded by those G7, G20. And therefore, whenever any G20 or G7 coughs, WHO responds because that's where money is. I would like us to think about reopening the economy in a more proactive way than reopening the economy as a reaction to pressure. It's not a political decision. It's not a sourcing for fund decision. It's something we should be very proactive and strategic. So how should it be thought about? First of all, the world has faced so many pandemics. And what happens is that, how come this pandemic also came and hit us this hard? So we should be asking our questions is that, how comes that the global economy, the global healthcare system, the supply chain, and every other aspect of this world was caught flat-footed? In fact, when the virus emerged in Wuhan in China, people said that's a Chinese or Wuhan virus. How did the US respond? US thought that weather is going to clear it just by rainfall, or if you like, some sort of summer or spring weather. That did not happen. Immediately Europe was hit. Then when Europe was still thinking it's a joke, it was hitting the US. So what is happening is that we were very unprepared. This virus was ahead of us as a global economy. Every country, every continent was doing what is called catch-up, which means we are more reactive than being proactive. So I would like us to think about reopening the economy in a proactive sense rather than from the reactive sense. What does proactive mean? Proactive means that we should have been prepared with some information, some data, some systems, and some structures on how to respond to every pandemic. Because we've seen many pandemics before, and we are still reacting to this as if this is the first global pandemic. Now, what do I mean by this? First and foremost, what we need to think about is that now that some countries have been able to manage the drug, remember this thing was rising like a mountain. until we reach the peak. US says they have reached the peak, UK says they have reached the peak, Spain for sure has reached the peak and now they're on the other side. If you look at Italy, they have reached the peak, now they're on the other side. Many countries in Europe have reached the peak on the other side. Now, when you want to reopen the economy, let us first of all know that you cannot solve the world or global problem with the same tools that created them. So how the world was set up, the world economy, the world supply chain, the world healthcare system, the world education system, the transportation system cannot be the same as per it was when the Covid-19 outbreak started. If not, we shall have the second wave and it will be very detrimental again. We shall go back to rebuilding. So let us open an economy. First, let us not do harm, no harm. What do I mean doing no harm? Let us not be able to clear off all the gains we have made. Let us progress forward. So let us reset the system that takes advantage of what we have gone through. The second thing I'm trying to say, let us be smart. Let us use the data we have seen. Let us do all these tests we require so that we use some data-driven decision making, evidence-based decision making that will make us make better decisions. But last but not the least, what is important is learn lessons. What do I mean by learning our lessons? Let's build back better. One, our healthcare system. Let us increase what is called telemedicine. We have seen how much to do just brick and mortar healthcare becomes very vulnerable to everybody. Let us be able to make our healthcare system better to be able to overcome any pandemic. A stretchable, agile healthcare system is really key. The second thing, I'm talking about the issue of transportation. Before, people are being told you don't need to travel. Now people are not traveling and it's okay. Let us do more of how are we going to give global travel system, global transportation. Can we be able to bring more of commuting also to reduce the fact that we don't want to have unnecessary contacts that in case of any pandemic, the world is at standstill. The other thing which is important is that key, tele-education. Kids are at home, universities are closed, people are doing more of tele-education. Why don't we be able to develop curriculums and systems that can be able to manage under those conditions? But for me, most importantly, rebuilding better, let us go back and realize what we call the social equality system. Because people have always divided themselves in terms of economics and richer, upper class, middle class. Those things are no longer important during COVID-19. Because we discovered whether you are rich, poor or not, we are so connected. I saw how I was so close to my watchmen, so close to people who do cleaning in the places where I work or where I live. So close to everybody who serves in restaurants. In fact, we have been told, somebody has said, how much casual workers are more important. Those people who do blue-collar jobs are so important, like they're ensuring the food in the restaurant. They ensure, for example, that you can be served when you go to the supermarkets. The so-called the intellectual white-collar jobs have become less important during survival. So we are seeing that the social equality needs to be emphasized. And by thinking that your economic status makes you more important, your political status makes you more important, you are so connected to everybody that you need to rethink how we think about our social equality and the umbilical cord that holds all of us as people in this world. Especially looking at how we don't have to look down upon people based on the work they do. And that's what is important here. What is the spirit of community? Knowing that a Wuhan virus is a virus for the whole world, not Chinese virus. Knowing that if anybody in the society suffers with a certain thing that can transfer to another person affects everybody. I think this is how we need to rethink about reopening the world economy in a way that's more sustainable by keeping the world more equal. Thank you.